Hi, welcome to Gluten-Free Slice. If you're watching this video, it's because either you, someone you know, or someone that you love has been diagnosed with celiac disease and you're unable to have anything containing gluten. When I was first diagnosed with celiac disease, one of the things that I missed the most was a nice, wonderful piece of pizza. I've tried different recipes, I've gone to different restaurants, and have not been able to recreate the wonderful crust and the wonderful taste that I used to be able to eat before I was diagnosed. I would love to show you today how simple it is, how easy it is, and how inexpensive it is to make your own wonderful pizza. Welcome to my kitchen. The first thing we need to do is have a flour mixture. I like to use one that contains tapioca, cornstarch, corn flour, and sorghum flour, which is also called a sweet rice flour. There's lots of commercial ones that are available, but I do like to make my own. It's easier. So what we're going to do is go ahead and first add our flour mixture. And then we're also going to add salt, sugar, and we're going to add xanthan gum, or you can also use guar gum. Both of these like to imitate what gluten does in a normal recipe, but since we can't have gluten, we're going to use a little bit of xanthan gum. We're going to first just give our dry ingredients a mix. Once that's done, we're going to go ahead and add yeast, and in order to activate that yeast, we're also going to need a little bit of hot water. In order to activate the yeast, we need to use hot water. You can use hot tap water if you'd like, or you can also boil water, but it's not necessary. Just make sure it's nice and hot. There we go. That's about how much we need. So we've got our hot water. We're going to go ahead and add that to the mix and put the mixer on low. Once that's been incorporated, we'll add a little bit of the dry yeast and turn our mixer up just a little bit. We're also going to add oil. Once that's all mixed, we're just going to go ahead and take our sticky dough mixture off of the beater. Don't be surprised at how thin and sticky this mixture is. Once we're done with this, then we're going to need to go ahead and dump it onto our prepared cookie sheet. Make sure that you oil your cookie sheet, even if it has non-stick surface. Your oven needs to be preset at 425 degrees, and make sure that it's already gone through the warm-up period before you actually put the crust in. Alright, so once you're done mixing that completely, go ahead and drop your dough onto your prepared cookie sheet. One thing that I just want to mention that's really important, and you may have already figured this out, make sure that all of your kitchen utensils that are used for your gluten-free recipes remain gluten-free. Don't interchange your equipment or your utensils with those that are used by the rest of your household who may be able to tolerate gluten. Our dough is going to look like a big, soft, mass of dough. It's a little bit difficult to stretch it out. You can't roll it out, obviously. So I'm going to just go ahead and get it stretched out a little bit using a spatula, and then you have to just get in there with your hands and start patting it down. You can put a little bit of oil on your hand if you want to. It makes it a little bit easier, or you can do what I do. I just like to use warm water. And you just pat it into place. Don't be afraid of that water. You don't want to put big pools of water on it, but actually that water might help to make a little bit of a crust on your pizza. Alright, so this is about how big this pizza, one recipe of this pizza crust is going to come out. Notice that I just put a little bit of an edge around it so that it'll contain all of your toppings. Go ahead and set your timer for 20 minutes. Alright. Some people like their pizza sauce to be pretty thick. I don't. I like it a little bit thin. You can also use a white pesto sauce if you want to. Alfredo sauces that are gluten-free are really hard to find unless you make your own. And please be careful when you're purchasing your sauces because you want to make sure that they don't have any hidden gluten. If you have been diagnosed for quite a while, then you might know what some of those warnings are as far as where you'll find some hidden gluten. I like to use this particular one because it doesn't have any gluten. And again, if you're just not sure, you can use tomato sauce and season it yourself, or you can even make your own if you are that industrious to make your own pizza sauce. I am not. So we've got that on, and then I'm going to go ahead and put cheese. Lots of cheese. Also be careful with your cheeses. If they're pre-packaged like this one is, and pre-shredded, some cheese brands, especially the well-known ones, have flour added to them because they don't want the cheese to stick together and cake. So they'll put a dusting of flour on it sometimes just so that it'll be separate and look really pretty in the bag. There are some that you can buy, however, that are gluten-free. I like to buy it pre-shredded again because it just saves me some time. Or you can just buy a big block of cheese and shred it yourself. Alright, make sure that I got everything covered pretty good there. About 3 minutes before this pizza is done, then I'll go ahead and pull it out and put my tomatoes on. I like to use the lowest rack in the oven so that I get that nice thick crust. And we'll just set the timer again for, we'll go for 12 minutes. Alright, let's take it back out. Looks good already. It's bubbling, cheesy. We're getting closer. So far, this is what it looks like. Now for the finishing touch, I'm going to go ahead and top it with those sliced Roma tomatoes that I like to use. I cut them in half and take all of the seeds out. That way we don't have additional moisture on top to get our crust gooey. And then I'm going to just sprinkle a little bit of some Italian seasoning. You can certainly use fresh ingredients, fresh herbs, and that kind of thing. I simply don't have time. I'm too busy, and so I'm going to go ahead and use this, and it actually comes out really well. So I'm going to put it back in the oven now for another 3 minutes, just so that those tomatoes get cooked in on top. I'm going to turn off that oven. Just as every other utensil that you use that you have to keep separate and gluten-free, your pizza cutter is not an exception. So I've got this great pizza cutter that I found, and I'm going to go ahead and give this a nice cut. Can you hear that? That wonderful crunch. I never thought I would hear that again, but there it is. Now you may want to wait for it to cool down a couple of minutes before you eat into it, but what I would really like to show you is how this pizza stands up. It doesn't flop, it's not gooey on the bottom, it's not gummy. It's actually really delicious, and it tastes and it fills and it looks just like a pizza that is made with gluten pizza dough. Here it is. I hope you enjoy it. I know I will. And I hope that this helped you out a lot. Please come back and see us another time, and we're hoping to also give you some other wonderful gluten-free recipes from Gluten-Free Slice. Thank you.